All right. Test.
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 You ever get something on your shirt and try and get it off like that? That's dry cleaner.
The first of NBC's summer hits.
It's completely shrunk. You got a receipt? What do you think? This is a little scam I have? I take this tiny shirt all over the city, conning dry cleaners out of money?
Seinfeld premiering Thursday after Cheers on NBC.
What's up, bitches? We are back here on Convincing Idiots. I am your millennial Nick. Yes, you're damn right. I'm here with Zaniel Dean, Gen X Brian, and we are back for our third and final segment.
What are you, a 90s TV show host?
So, I am, yes. This is Welcome Back to Singled Out, bitches! And we're finding today's sexiest and sluttiest singles on segment number 3. Oh!
So extreme!
Too extreme. And anyway, I'm sorry, bitches. I'm sorry. Let's calm down. Bitches. All right. So, today, for our final segment, our one of our main talking points, we thought it would be fun to bring back the Mount Rushmore and talk about, because there are so many that we could probably put up here. But if we stick to our idiot Mount Rushmore, which, to refresh your memory, as idiots, our Mount Rushmore has 5 instead of the traditional 4. So our top 5, if you will, of our favorite sitcoms. Now, let me tell you something. When I was compiling my list, sitcoms, I think initially, comedy, right? Haha, good times. Okay, good times. Initially, I know sitcom stands for situational comedy. But when I think of good times and sitting down, I think of nothing more than our friends. I think nothing more than our friends at RPM Bike Shop, who offer you the best opportunity to have a good time whilst sitting down on one of their electric bikes. That's right. So if you have not done so already, if you've listened to the show before, you already know I'm always telling you about RPM Bike Shop, how incredible they are, how incredible their electric bikes are. If you don't believe me, which, first of all, shame on you.
You tell me all the time.
If you don't believe me, go see for yourself, okay? I dare you. Prove me a liar. Go in the search bar up there. Search for RPM Bike Shop, okay? Go look at their wonderful products. If you think that is a hoax, go to their website, rpmbikeshop.com. There you can see the pictures of their magnificent electric bikes that they have to offer you. They're located in Carrollton, Ohio, not so far from here. And if that's not enough for you either, drive your ass to Carrollton. Look at an RPM bike for yourself today. Or you can give them a call, 330-808-7792. Let me tell you again, just so you don't think I'm putting you on, 330-808-7792. Hit up our friends at RPM Bike Shop today to ride your way to an electric revolution today. RPM Bike Shop, convincing idiots, told you what's up. So that is initially, obviously, when you think of sitcom, comedy, funny, sit down, RPM, right? Okay, let's just wipe your memory for just a moment.
I know normally when you think that, you think of the bike without the seat.
Right. Well, that's more of a sit pleasure or sit joy, if you will.
I'm sorry, I get those confused. I'm sorry.
I think comedy fun, like this is more fun. That's a different kind of fun. That's a more
still fun.
Children listen to this, so this is a family show.
My apologies.
So we'll stick here. But I digress. We are talking today about our favorite sitcoms, right? So situational comedies. Any type of show, whether it be from yesteryear, from present day, anything. What are your top 5, your Mount Rushmore of sitcoms? They could be special to you. You could think that they were incredible for pop culture. You could, which is kind of what we do here. Any reason you want, it is your Mount Rushmore. So, Brian, you were around before the original Mount Rushmore. You get the lead. You get to start.
I guess we'll do. We'll do like one at a time. So here's one on my
sure,
Mount Rushmore.
whatever.
Let me do it that way. Go around.
Can we first admit that I don't think Nick has ever said the word situational more at one time than this episode in his life?
Can I tell you something? Complete clarity here. I always thought sitcom for some reason meant like sit down and watch a comedy. Like when I was a kid. When I heard the word sitcom, when did you know? I bet you anything that you found out that sitcom stood for.
You are talking to the
comedy.
wrong person on this one, bud. Sorry.
I don't know. I don't know that's because it's never been like laid out. I just thought so. For example, you have stand-up comedians. I thought sitcom was like when they invented a show that you sit down in front of the television and watch a comedy. It's a sitcom.
It's a stand-up, sit down.
You know what I mean? Like that's what I thought.
Okay, I mean, okay.
It makes sense.
I guess and a little mullet-headed boy sitting in, they're hearing this for the first time. I guess between Mountain Dew sips, I guess that would be the common.
I think it makes more sense than situational comedy because when we were compiling our list, I'm like, I'm gonna Google what the technical because I think I know what my sitcoms are, but I'm like, what actually fits under the umbrella?
Wait, are you telling me you didn't know this until you did the research for this episode?
Yeah. Situational? I did not know situational was what sit part of sitcom stood for.
I thought you learned it, like when you were a little older child.
Because it doesn't make sense. It's weird. They're like, oh, it's basically any show with reoccurring characters, which are, by the way, all shows before reality television. So any show with reoccurring characters in a situation, it's like, well, that's fucking every show ever before reality TV was invented or a news program.
Next week, guys, tune in. We're going to be doing sit drams.
Sit drams.
Sit down and watch dramas.
Mm-hmm. If they called everything like that, it would make sense. But sitcom implies when they invented the television and the families got together and sit down.
You knew what the com part was.
Well, yeah, comedy, yeah.
So you thought they shortened one word, but not the other.
What? They're both short.
Yes, situation, comedy.
Right, but sit down would be shortened as well. It's a sitcom.
All right, let's get on
started.
To our
you don't even want to know
comedies.
what I thought that like found dog posters were. We'll talk about that on another episode.
I so do.
I found this out when I was like 28. So
okay.
Nick just yesterday was driving down the road and it said slow kids at play, and he's like, well, that's rude. You don't want to call them out.
You can't say that anymore. You have to say a different word at play. Okay, I'll do this. Can I do this briefly, Brian?
Yes, please. Absolutely.
I will tell you. I will tell you. Found dog. Up until I was like 27, 28 years old, when I would see a found dog poster on a telephone pole, I always thought that it meant, hey, remember that post that was said lost dog?
Mm-hmm.
Stop looking. The dog's found. Like I thought it was the owner being like, we found the dog. That lost dog one that we got him. Stop looking. He's found.
Okay.
I thought it was the owners being courteous that they found the dog. Now you can stop frantically searching. Mm-hmm. Robin informed me that was people who had found a dog that they did not know who the owner was, and that person should call them if they're looking for this dog. I did not know that. I thought the people from the previous lost dog ad had found their dog that you were already looking for, so you may cease searching for said dog.
Mm-hmm. Brian, do you have the same urge to rub the top of his head and call him Squirt? Just okay.
I will. I'm gonna ask every person I fucking know about situational comedy. That's bullshit. Nobody knew that shit. Nobody knew that.
Well,
nobody
only
that's
if
my
we had
age
some sort
or younger knew that shit.
Way to take a poll, through social media or anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you need subscribers and listeners for that shit. No one's gonna answer. I'm gonna ask people that I know, and they're gonna be like, I don't know what I thought it, because like me, they'll be like, sitcom just kind of means like a TV comedy.
Wait a minute. How are you gonna ask the question? How are you gonna ask the question?
I'm going to say, what does sitcom stand for?
Okay.
And they can tell me. And then depending on if they say situational or not, or they go,
See,
I don't
this
really
doesn't
know,
count because I know where you
I wouldn't
work,
say.
and if you go in tomorrow, start asking those gentlemen, any sort of questions, you can't count that for any sort of intelligent response.
See, look at you already. Look at you already stacking the deck in your favor because you know everybody that works there is your age or older. So you're like, oh, well, if they don't know, then they're just dumb. So
No, if they're as
everybody
old
there
as
is your
I
age or
am,
older.
then fine, they will know it. Brian, it's common knowledge, right?
I'm sure I did not know it when I first heard the term, but I heard it. I can't remember when I picked it up and
Okay, I
knew
will
what it stood
also,
for.
and we have a text thread, between the three of us tomorrow. Well, Brian doesn't interact with human beings on his daily basis, so he doesn't get to play along. But I will go ahead and ask people, and I will take a tally of how many people get it correct and how many people get it wrong.
How many stupid people do you work with, though, too?
We'll put it out there on social media. We'll see if anybody responds.
I don't have that many fingers and toes.
All right.
Okay. Anyway, sitcoms.
Yes.
Situational comedies.
Yep.
Brian, go.
Who's starting? I'll start.
You.
Okay. Well, one of my favorite shows, period, of all time, makes my Mount Rushmore, Seinfeld. I've watched, just love that show. I always liked Jerry Seinfeld's stand-up prior. When the show came on, I watched it immediately. Took me a couple episodes to get hooked into it. But once I did, it just, we all know what Seinfeld is. Just several episodes are hilarious. The characters are great. The writing is funny. There's
I
so
still have
many
a magazine for that last episode.
Really?
They put out a magazine, and I went and bought it. I was a huge fan.
I just don't get tired of it. If it's on and you catch even 10 minutes of it, you're going to catch if something's going to make you laugh.
Yep.
At least for
quotable.
Me anyway. And quotable. That's one of those shows that definitely entrenched itself in pop culture, like you say.
Absolutely.
It's very quotable, like you say. There's moments. There's things that are relatable. You talk about even like Festivus.
Right.
It was
I have a beer in my fridge right now, Festivus.
See?
Yeah,
there you go.
It was a real thing that one of the writers, his dad, actually made a holiday festival. But now, since then, people have Festivus parties. I participated in Festivus theme parties. Actually, we talked about doing that ourselves here, guys. We'll have to talk about that, off podcast. But yeah, it's just that's it. It's a cultural icon.
To me,
Still
it could be
streaming.
It could be number one. Like if there was an actual ranking, to me, Seinfeld arguably could be number one.
Absolutely. So there you go, Seinfeld. Dean, go ahead.
I will go next. I will go with, if Seinfeld's already on the table.
You can use your personal list. It's still your personal list, even if we have overlaps.
Okay,
you don't have to not use Seinfeld because
I will name that later.
Gotcha.
I'm going Cheers.
Mm-hmm.
Cheers was, again, cultural. The night of the last episode, it was like the Super Bowl or MASH.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was watched by. It was a cultural event.
Mm-hmm.
Again, from like Norm Peterson to Woody Harrelson, the stars that it made, the cultural impact that it had.
Sure.
And just so goddamn funny, still holds up today.
Mm-hmm.
So Cheers is my first pick on my Mount Rushmore.
And we talked about this on our finale episode too. One of the best finales of all the series as well. Cheers.
Absolutely.
Yep. Nick?
I will go.
Girls.
I will go with my favorite show of all time. It is Powerpuff Girls. My favorite show of all time is Friends. And it was funny. Robin and I, quick story, we were playing the charades game this weekend on the phone, where you flip up or down. You try to explain stuff to people, and so mine was Jerry Seinfeld, and I said one of the biggest. Well, like one of like nine, because the deck was 90s, so I'm like one of the biggest comedians, one of the biggest shows in the 90s period, and like just Friends and all this stuff, and I'm like, but Seinfeld to me represents the 90s so well.
Mhm.
But I would argue that Friends is definitely one of those big 90s show, but again, a testament to how well it was written and how well it was done. You see the comeback of it right now. It is so popular amongst like young kids right now. Like everybody watches Friends. It's a massive deal. Like it's come full circle, and it's every bit as popular amongst kids in high school and college right now.
It's always on somewhere.
Yeah, and I don't
You
know
can
that
flip
I've
through it. It's on
seen
somewhere.
a show quite like that, because I know I loved it when it was on the first time, and I've watched it, like repetitively throughout my life. It's just always been on. It doesn't matter how many years it's been off the air. We're always, always, always watching it. Every single day, I see at least one Friends episode every day of my life, without fail.
Well,
it's
Nick,
just kind of.
I think what you're talking about, like Seinfeld encapsulates the 90s. Friends went from 94 to 2004. So it had that gap of like the turn of the century.
Yeah, kind of. I guess so.
It lives one foot in one decade, one in the next, and it works.
Yeah.
It works so well for both.
Yes. Yeah, I guess that's a good point. Yeah. So, but yeah, Friends, I mean, it's hands down my favorite show ever. The characters are fantastic. Like I said, the writing, the comedy, the jokes, everything still holds up today. And I mean, yeah, it's a easy free space for me. So, Friends.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right, Brian.
Modern Family for me.
That's a good one.
Modern Family for me, it's just it's one of the most it's one of the best written sitcoms of all time, period. Just every episode, they did such a good job too of having. This is one of the things of a good sitcom, is that you don't have just one main storyline like Seinfeld and things. There was always a couple stories. There was one main plot, but they always have very good subplots in every episode that all tie together very nicely.
Seinfeld did that too. Like
that's what I'm saying. That's what I just said. Yeah,
weird stuff, and then ultimately at the end, it all kind of meshes some way.
Right, exactly. But Modern Family did that so well, and again, just every single solitary actor, from the kids to the adults, stellar, rock solid jobs, all of it. I just loved it. That was a show, and that's another thing. That why does it make my list? If every episode I looked forward to watching until it went off the air. Friends for me, Nick, over time, this is just me. There was a point where I wasn't excited to watch it anymore. I watched it because it was on, and I had watched so many of them. I kind of wrote it out type deal. So and it's for me anyway. But Seinfeld, Modern Family for me. Cheers. I made my list too, Dean. I looked forward to watching it every single solitary week until it went off the air. Well, there's some episodes better than others, of course, but it just had me that excited to see it every single week. So Modern Family, without question, one of the best shows, period, let alone sitcoms in my book.
I remember watching the pilot when it first aired, and I remember thinking how creative it was the way they did it, because they kept cutting from each individual family, and then at the end you find out who they are to each other. Like they're following. I don't know. I mean, I only watched the first probably 4 or 5 seasons religiously, but they'd follow each individual sector, and then you find out, oh, that's their dad, and these are the siblings, and this is their family. So it was I remember thinking how cool it was the way that they did the pilot of that show.
And just unique too. I mean, that's, I guess is what they call it, Modern Family. They had modern situations. You had the older man married the young
What was that word?
Trophy wife. What's that?
What was that word? Situations?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like situational.
Were you sitting down when you were watching it, Brian?
Yeah. Married the younger trophy wife, and then you had the gay couple,
and then you had the regular family. Yeah, that's the typical mom and dad thing. So it just
nuclear family. Yeah,
exactly. So anyway, great show, Dean. What else you got?
All right, I'm going to go a little old school, and I'm going what probably if Seinfeld's my number one, my number two is the television show MASH.
Mm-hmm.
MASH to me was my childhood. I remember every episode. Like, there's honestly not an episode, and there was over shit. How many episodes were there? Over 100. I mean, 200. I mean, like, it went for a very, very long time.
It was a good 10
honestly,
years at least. Yeah.
There's not an episode that I don't remember vividly.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like for me, Star Wars or professional wrestling. It's just always been in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just always been there. It's like a comfort blanket type deal.
Mm-hmm.
It was so well written and acted, and even as they cycled through some of the cast, it never lost a beat. Some say the last season got a little wonky, but that was only because they were done and they convinced them to come back for like 6 episodes or whatever just to wrap it up. So you weren't getting the gold standard, but even that last episode,
terrific,
was incredible. The acting from Alan Alda and directing was incredible. So yeah, to me, MASH is next on my list.
Yeah, and obviously that show it was funny, but they also exposed you to real hells of war. I mean, there were deaths in that,
right?
Tragedy.
They didn't shy away from it.
No, it sure didn't.
One of the most I think I probably talked about this actually in the Christmas episode, which is weird, but it was Christmas time and they were trying to save this guy. They knew he was circling the drain, and it was, Christmas Eve, and they're trying to save him, and Hawkeye's, pounding on the guy's chest, and
there's a guy called Hawkeye?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The superhero?
No, same name. I think they stole it from him.
Just nickname.
Okay. But they're like, stop, he's dead. And it was like 11:45. So he went, BJ opened up the clock and pushed the hands forward. I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, I don't want his kids to associate Christmas with their father's death. So they fudged the number. You know what I mean? Like, it was like they were focused. Like, within the comedy, there was like some serious shit going on.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that was always one of the most powerful, moments like that. So yeah, I love MASH.
That was in my household too, Dean. That was before the days when that show was on. There's no VCR yet when that show was popular, super popular. That was like, get the family together. MASH is on tonight.
Yep.
Pop the popcorn. Get everything settled in. Or watching MASH tonight. Yeah, I did that for many years with my parents as well. So, yep, good stuff. Good memories watching that show too.
Absolutely.
Dean had many lit cigarettes put out on the back of his hand from that show, Nick. Yep. Don was like, it didn't change the channel fast enough or something.
We could probably stop talking about that. That's not.
Boy,
go change the channel. Psst. MASH is on.
So yeah, all right. So what's the what's
Sorry, bringing back too many memories for Dean. Sorry about that. Nick, you have it. What else do you have on your list?
So next up for me would be a very important one, also very 90s, but the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
That's
Fresh
a good
Prince
one.
Was, again, I mean, a very funny show. Again, a lot of the stuff still holds up today, but kind of, I mean, I've never seen an episode of MASH, but from what you're describing, like the a lot of like it.
How have you never? No, never mind. Go ahead.
Just passes.
I was born in 1988. Okay, so we've done this on many other shows. I've not seen a lot. I've never seen Cheers. I've never seen.
My point is, you've been in my parents' house.
I don't watch it. It's on. I don't sit there and watch it. They also play 2.5 Men, Dean. So like, I don't watch everything that's on the TV.
Fair enough. Okay.
But no, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, like there again, especially like for the time in the '90s and stuff like that, they touched on a lot of very serious issues. You know, I mean, they kept it light for probably a good 85% of the time, but for that other 15%, there was a lot of really good messages in there. There was a lot of
when his
good
dad
lessons
came back and then went away.
Yeah, like why didn't
That
he want me?
scene?
And like just that, that whole thing, and the father figure that he found in Uncle Phil. And there was a really cool one where he went to a pool hall, and
That is
he was
one of
getting
the
hustled,
best fucking
and
episodes.
Uncle Phil went in there and hustled him back.
Jimmy
And,
Charlene, or
basically,
Shirley, or whatever
like,
he named his pool stick or whatever.
kind of went in there and like fucked him up and like showed him like, because I mean, Will would always being this young kid and being
Right.
and he would always write off Uncle Phil that he was rich, he had money, he didn't know what it was like to be hood, and he didn't all this other stuff. And there was a lot of those through the years where Uncle Phil would kind of show his stripes to Will, you know what I mean, and
Not only just
show
like
him,
the
show him
character,
where he
but
came
like
from.
you don't realize like how good that fucking actor was. Like,
he was fantastic.
amazing. Like looking back at it, before you're like, oh, it's just Uncle Phil, but like if you watch it now in like an adult standpoint, you're like, shit, that guy's acting
powerful.
The fuck out of that. Yeah,
powerful character, very great, very very great character, very great show. But yeah, I love the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and like I said, I think it just still holds up really well today, and always really like that one. So, Brian.
Very good. All right, another pop cultural icon. Used to watch it religiously for many, many years. Kind of fallen off just because of time, but it's all out there on streaming. I'm telling myself you need to go back and pick it back up and get caught up again. The Simpsons, one of the longest running television shows. Period.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just
been 35 years or something.
It started like in 89, 88, 89, something like that.
1889. Not a lot of people remember that, but
that's right.
Brian does.
The instant smash. I remember back as soon as it came out. I just
so Nick called first dates too.
That's right.
Smash.
Instant smash. That's right. Yeah, it was the first date with your sister, I believe. That's what he referred to as. Yep.
You're going to start down a line of jokes that we're going to get us both in trouble. So let's just stop there.
That's right. There's not many sitcoms that have like video games. So The Simpsons have video games, pinball machines, all kinds of stuff. I mean, you name it, The Simpsons is on it. It's the same, as we know, it's the same voice actors have been on there for all these years. And every episode, without fail, it would always make me laugh. There would be something on there that would make me laugh. So, love it. Like I said, I need to go back and get caught up with it, but definitely has to make the list of top sitcoms of all time. Even though it's animated, still one of the best sitcoms of all time.
Yeah,
hands down.
And it has brought out one of my favorite cheers when you are drinking. Homer Simpson's cheers to alcohol, the cause of and solution to all of life's problems.
Yes. Again, you see, you're talking about quotable. There are so many quotable things throughout the years on that. Just, it just, Seinfeld got the same way. There's quotes that just make their way into everyday slang that came from that show.
Not only that, like all of these shows that we talk about have that, like, I don't know about you guys, but for me, like, I'll be talking to somebody and like, even if I don't say it out loud, that it's something from that show pops into my head.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yep. There you go. So Simpsons. Dean, what else you got?
All right. So I'm gonna go and cheers.
Is this your fifth?
Fifth? No, not even close.
This should be his fourth because I've only done three. So yeah.
Okay.
No, I've only done two. This is your
me
third.
too. I've only done two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. We need to pick this up. So I'm gonna actually quickly just say my next one is Seinfeld. We've already touched on it, and we continue to go back to it because it's the greatest sitcom in history. So Seinfeld's next on my list.
There you go.
Nick.
Yep.
What do you got?
I'll make it short, but this is an old school one, and it was one of the first situational comedies that I ever found myself enjoying from way before
Sitting
I was
down.
born.
Mhm.
That's right, sitting down. I Love Lucy. Granted, there's
I
some
have that
things
up
that
there.
there are situations that don't necessarily lend themselves to present day. You know what I mean? There's he
Mhm.
jokes
Maybe if
around a
you'd
lot about
marry a
hitting
Cuban
her
band director, you would.
and things like that. But still a great show. Like I just think Lucille Ball was brilliant. So was Desi Arnaz. Just the whole cast was fantastic. And even though yes, it's a little outdated, I found
It
humor
still
in it
holds up.
as a kid in the '90s and watching I Love Lucy at that time. So I Love Lucy.
Great
Right.
show. I used to
Yep.
watch it in reruns growing up.
Absolutely.
Yep. Let's see here. I have nothing else. Mine's overlaps now. So I had MASH on my
Okay.
list also. I'll just put it out there too. And Cheers. So MASH and Cheers. So that rounds out my top five. So I had Seinfeld, MASH, Modern Family, Cheers, and The Simpsons. That's my five.
All
Nice.
right. My next one's going to be All in the Family. With Carol O'Connor being is I mean he's an icon. It pretty much showed put a mirror up to America at the time. It showed what bigotry looked like and made fun of it. You know what I mean? It didn't even like make him sympathetic to a lot of times. You know? The writing was incredible. Again, Carol O'Connor or damn it, what's her name? The mother. I'm drawing a blank right now, but anyways, yeah, it's culturally it is important when it comes to TV and or TV sitcoms. So,
Gene Stapleton.
That's right.
Gene Stapleton.
Mm-hmm.
So that All in the Family is next on my Mount Rushmore.
Very good.
Nick.
I will round out my Mount Rushmore with my final two, which are both newer ones and both for similar reasons. So they are both within the last 10, 15 years. I will go with The New Girl, and I will go with Happy Endings. Happy Endings is honestly, other than Friends, probably my favorite comedy show of all time.
I agree
it
with
was
both of
just
them.
perfect. It was on for 3 seasons and it wasn't nearly long enough, but New Girl was very similar in style of comedy. So I'll kind of lump them together, but it was Friends-esque. It was very Friends-esque and Common Day. It was a present day version of it.
But it was
single people figuring out their lives together.
But it was a little smarter writing. Like with the cutaways and the
it was almost
quirkier writing,
more like Scrubs in that way, where with the like you said.
You should say that because that's my last one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, Happy Endings was one of the writers of Scrubs. Made Happy Endings.
Yep.
But yeah, Happy Endings is God, one of my favorite shows ever. And then The New Girl was just a little bit behind that for me, but definitely lasted longer. And everybody's, I think, pretty familiar with that show.
Mm-hmm.
Just fantastically well written, very witty, very funny. There's so many things that I rewatch old episodes and just catch me off guard, and I'm just in fucking tears. Just like so just it make me laugh every time. I can never watch enough of it. I can never watch the episodes too many times, and that's the same with actually every single show on this list. And I think that's kind of what makes my list is that I'll never get tired of watching these episodes. It's not one of those things where like, well, I've seen that series, so it's done. Like, no, I can watch them over and over, and they're funny every single time. They make me laugh every single time. So
and you'll sit down and watch them.
I will sit down and laugh my ass off at their situations every fucking time, whether it's Friends, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I Love Lucy, Happy Endings, or The New Girl. I have honorable mentions, but we'll come full circle for that. So, Brian, do you have honorable mentions?
Okay, so we'll do a couple honorable mentions.
Let me real quick. I already named it, but Scrubs is my last. Is my last of my top of my Mount Rushmore.
So recap your 5 then, please.
So Scrubs, obviously, just the writing where he's gone on. He did Cougar Town, the creator, Bill Lawrence did Cougar Town, Ted Lasso.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But Scrubs is just genius.
Yep.
It was ahead of its time. It was
The first few seasons, the last couple really went off the rails. But
well, the last ones where they moved,
When all
they
the
got
originals were
pressured and
gone,
got moved. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, right.
but the first 6 seasons were incredible,
Yeah,
just
I agree.
brilliant. So I
Yep.
have Scrubs, Seinfeld, All in the Family, and Cheers, and MASH.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Nick, what do you
Okay.
what is your remind us of your Mount Rushmore?
I had Friends, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I Love Lucy, Happy Endings, and The New Girl.
Yeah, no overlap.
And Brian?
Okay. Seinfeld, MASH, Modern Family, Cheers, and The Simpsons were mine.
We had
Nice.
a couple overlaps there.
Yeah.
So honorable mentions, Brian. Do you have any honorable mentions?
Yes. South Park. South Park almost made my Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
Some of the funniest stuff, and again, smart. These guys were
Talking about cultural.
unashamed. Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Unashamedly will make fun of the world instantly. There's a current topic, pandemic.
Yep.
Whatever. These guys are going to make fun of it and put it out there in your face and show you how ridiculous the world is in many respects.
And if anybody has a chance, go on to, I think it's Netflix, but there's a documentary about how the show's made and why they are able to be so up to date on their pop culture references, because they do the show a week. Like when you see it, say it's airing Monday. I don't know what day it airs, but say it's airing Monday. They put it in the mailbox Friday.
Wow.
It's only a 3-day window from them finishing it to it airing.
Yeah.
The documentary's awesome.
Yeah, just these guys are genius. They really are. I mean, they turn things, like you said, they turn things around so quickly. The voice, they do a lot of most of the voice acting themselves. Right. Obviously, they made a musical. The movie was fantastic.
The movie, that might be my favorite musical of all time. Bigger, longer, and uncut. Absolutely.
It's so good. So, yeah, South Park, incredible. It still makes me laugh. And all the episodes are out there on HBO Max. And again, that's another one I'm kind of behind in, but I need to get caught back up with. But like I said, without fail, I love it. And
that's one that you don't even have to catch up. Like, it's kind of just start watching it again.
Catch it wherever it's at.
Yep. Exactly. And I watch the holiday
it's not a continuous story.
Season,
they're all the same age.
Yep. Right. Exactly. Yep. There you go. South Park, first honorable mention.
My honorable mention, Jesus, there's so many here. One top of the here, Letterkenny. Letterkenny is it actually coming out new season December 26th on Hulu.
Okay.
It started on Crave TV up in Canada. It went to a YouTube series, and now it's a Hulu exclusive for here in America. It's we had just fun writing, fun acting. So my honorable mention, Letterkenny. Nikolai.
Nice. Am I doing multiple honorable mentions or
doesn't matter? It doesn't matter. Just have at it.
I've got two I want to shout out real quick. One is Eastbound and Down.
Sure.
That's Danny McBride, fantastic HBO series. Just, I mean, lasted 4 seasons. Loved every minute of it. Just always really loved that one. So,
you're good.
Brian, go
ahead. 30 Rock.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's another series that
I need to go back and watch that again, because I love everybody from that, but I didn't like it the first time I watched it, and I'm like,
really?
I need to go back and try it again. Didn't like it.
Yeah, you really got to give it a shot.
Yeah, just again, it's the same type of formula. The characters are great, the writing is great, the storylines are interesting. Tina Fey, Alec Baldwin, Tracy Morgan, just those three. And they play so well off of each other. The scenes between Alec Baldwin and Tina Fey is just hilarious.
Yeah, it's writing.
He's such a great straight man in that. It is writing gold. You're right. Yep. So, 30 Rock definitely way up there on my list. Dean.
All right, I know we're cutting on time here, so I'm going to give you two quick. You guys know my love for Night Court.
Yep,
Night Court is my honorable mention, and then
take a drink. Convincing idiots. Dean said Night Court.
Night Court. Drink. But my other one, the Drew Carey Show.
Oh, okay.
I was probably early high school era when that was on. Loved it. So fucking funny, very quotable. That's one of the shows that a lot of times when I'm like in my head repeating lines from shows, that's one of the shows. It's so fucking good.
It's good. You can forget about that one, kind of. Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
It was the same type of deal. And the boss, they went on to do the guy that went on to do the talk show later. The boss on that show,
Craig Ferguson.
Yeah, he was so funny in that as the boss. God, I remember the Wheel of Destiny. The Wheel of Destiny. People come in, and he would spin the wheel if they're going to keep their job or not. Stuff like that. It's just so funny.
It's so absurd. It was absurdist comedy, especially towards the second half of the series. Like the first half was a little more structured of like reality. The second half got absurd, which I loved. I mean, Dietrich Bader, who I want to remind you guys, because you guys didn't know who did the voiceover for the Weird Al movie. It was Dietrich Bader, who was also in Drew Carey.
Yep. Yeah, Drew Carey's talked about this on his radio. But
and Ryan Stiles. Those two actors and characters is one of the best duos of sitcom history.
Absolutely. And Drew Carey, again, I mentioned this before, but he has a weekly radio show on Sirius XM, which is terrific. But he's talked about the Drew Carey show often, and he said the reason why you don't see it in syndication is too expensive. Because they had to get the licensing for actual songs. So Drew Carey has always been such a music fan. They paid for a lot of rights to songs when they put the show out there, and to re-air those is too expensive with the license.
Interesting.
That's why you can't find it.
It was such a good show.
It was a good show. Yep. Nick, any more honorable mentions?
Yeah, got two. I'll rattle them off real quick. Number one would be Trailer Park Boys. Incredibly made, like just the humor in it. Great Canadian show. Kind of what you were saying about, I don't want to say holding the mirror up on, it wasn't certainly not like Canadian culture, but definitely this subset of like exactly what it sounds like. If you've never watched Trailer Park Boys, just shitty, dirty people. It was almost like a Shameless before its time, an independently Canadian-made version of Shameless, but just of these just awful people, and it's just
comedy version.
It's hilarious because they're just shitty,
because
and
Shameless
they're just
was a comedy.
trying to do well. Yeah, yes and no. I mean, but,
maybe,
you know what
I
I mean?
guess.
It's certainly,
you're right.
It's very funny. I would say it is, but
like it wasn't like written to be like joke.
Sure, right. Yes, but Trailer Park Boys, especially like the way it is shot, and it is certainly supposed to be a comedy. So
I'm guessing those guys were like like some sort of like a stand-up troupe or improv
because they do like on the road shows and things like that. I mean, they're still going. They do specials, and they do I think they have a podcast and a live show and all this stuff. I mean, It's grown into this empire that, I mean, fuck, the show started in like 2002 or 3 or something, and here they are all these years later. You know, with
can't
all
wait
this
for
content.
our sitcom.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. That's right. But yeah, Trailer Park Boys is up there, and then lastly, honorable mention: It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Similar
that's
vein.
On my list too. Yeah.
That's another one that just, you know what I mean. When you watch some of those earlier episodes, it kind of almost is. It goes to show you, when I watched some of the early episodes, how the times have changed.
Sure.
The things that they would joke about versus the things you would joke about now. You wouldn't do it now, and it's all happened in this period where, you know, I think in, you know, many ways it's, you know, in a good thing that society has progressed, and, you know, we've become more conscientious of people.
It's just like just like Seinfeld. Like, you have to go into that show knowing that you're watching the worst fucking people possible. Like, they're awful. The characters are
they are terrible. Yes, they're horrible people. Yes, absolutely. But and that's what makes it so funny, is it's just so unapologetically they're shitty. They're just such shitty people.
Right. And after like the third or fourth season, like it got like some of the things got like absurdity.
Sure. Yeah.
Like outside the realm of like, oh yes, they would be in jail if they did this.
Right. Yeah.
Like the first couple seasons, it's like, oh, they're just being shitty people. After a while, it's like, oh, well, they're just doing like illegal shit that, like,
right, they're getting away with like shit.
They would, right. but it's
Yeah.
so amazing.
Yeah, so but it's still a good show. I love it. And if you went to Golden Heart Tattoo this evening, Brian, I don't know if it was on or not, depending on who was there and who was in charge of the TV, but you're almost always sure to see at least a couple episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia at Golden Heart Tattoo. So
Was it on today? They were all there. Both the guys there today, but we had a couple movies on today. But
okay.
I get what you're saying.
Usually
Yeah.
it's a later in the day. It's usually early in the day or later in the day. It depends.
Mhm.
But yeah, but great show, still great.
I'll give you one more. I mean, we can go this all night. Another one of these topics can go all night.
I'm done. I'm good.
Parks and Rec.
Oh
I'll
yeah,
give you
that's
one
a good
more
one.
honorable mention. So,
Yep.
Again, fits all the same. Checks all the same boxes
Incredible cast.
with the writing, the cast, the storylines. And this is sort of the opposite of Seinfeld. These are all, for the most part, very wholesome people working in the park system. A lot of them. Like obviously Leslie Knope, Amy Poehler was so good in this. Rob Lowe, when he came onto the show, took it to another level, in my opinion. And then just kind of two words here.
Ron Swanson.
Ron Swanson. Yeah, Ron Swanson. Nick Offerman.
He's my spirit animal.
Fantastic. He was just one of the best comedic actors on it. And he was such a good straight. It's like that's a guy you can envision you just want to be like. If you could just be that direct.
He's the one character I could do without. He's the one.
Really?
He's the one I don't like.
Really?
He's too.
Oddly enough, I'm the one person you could do without. That's
it's too direct. Go back and watch some of those. Just look up probably Ron Swanson quotes.
He's the one character. It's too over the top.
Just interesting.
There's too many. He goes to a restaurant. He says, "I would like to have eggs and all your bacon." And he says, "I want to make sure that I'm clear. When I say all the bacon, you might think I mean a lot of bacon. I mean all your bacon." Anyway, just absurd, hilarious. It was terrific. Anyway, that's it. Again, I guess we can keep going here, but I know it's getting late.
We've gone through an amazing list of situational comedy shows
as we were sitting down to boot.
As we were sitting down,
as it was intended.
That's right. That's right. It's all in the name.
That's right.
It's all in the name. Okay. Well, Nick, why don't you take us out, sir? Maybe how about one of your sitcom actors or whoever you want to portray? How about that? Is that good for you, Dean?
I feel, if I may, doing the accent, I feel like I would like to call back to one of my favorite characters that has been referenced on this episode. And during the outro, I will be portraying Dean's Italian accent, which sounds a little bit like this. So, if you're out there and you would like to find us very nice on the internet, hello there, I am Italian winemaker. If you would like to find, I'm sorry, French. I'm French winemaker.
You're French.
You can find me crushing all of the grapes with my feet. Nice. All of those you can find on our link tree. Just search Convincing Idiots, LINKTREE. Once you find it, great success. That is us, Convincing Idiots. You can also go to our website. It is oldest website in all of internet. Don't check. I promise you, I am telling truth here. Nothing but facts. ConvincingIdiots.wordpress.com. So, for this episode of Convincing Idiots, I am great success, Millennial Nick.
I am Zenodine. Hey.
Gen X Brian. Who that was?
Caught me off guard.
I don't know who it was.
Have we convinced you that situational comedy is a fucking made-up thing? It's supposed to be sit-down comedy?
That is not
correct. Come on. That is, it's not correct, but that's believable.
Did you just see that shit? If you liked what you saw, like and subscribe. Come back. You're going to want to. Thank you for checking us out this week on. What?
I'll love that for you. I don't love that for you.
No?
You fumbled. Okay. You get it. Start again. 5, 4.
Oh, okay. All right.
Nope.
This week on. All right.